Good evening. Let's start business. Markets kicked off August on a cautious note. IT shares advanced, whereas realty and PSU banking sectors declined. Nifty Midcap 100 and Nifty Pharma hit a fresh all-time high intraday. Alex Matthew with the wrap of all the market action.
Consolidation continues to be the name of the game, with the Nifty 50 treading water in trade today, ending just about flat, in fact marginally positive. The overall market breadth, however, was tilted in favor of the advances still, because you saw quite a bit of resilience on the broader end of the spectrum. You had the mid-cap index, the Nifty Mid-Cap 100, that ended flat, and the small-cap 100 ended with gains, in fact, of about 0.7% or thereabouts. Among the sectors, you had IT that stood out as a bright spot yet again, gaining over 1%. And then among the losers, you saw the realty pack that underperformed, a few earnings that disappointed the street, and the Nifty Realty Index losing about 1.8% in trade. Focusing in on some of the key movers in trade today, among the top gainers, you saw Coal India, that was the top gainer, quite a considerable gainer in fact. NTPC, Tech Mahindra, HCL Tech, as well as LTI Mindtree also gaining ground. TCS Infosys as well gaining over 0.5%, in fact closer to 0.75%. Among the top losers, you had Powergrid Corporation of India, Hero MotoCorp, Apollo Hospitals, IndusInd Bank and Bajaj Finserv that were the top losers, but Reliance Industries also lost about 1%, in fact more than 1%, and proved to be quite a bit of a drag. Coal India, it was up and about in trade, gaining quite considerably on the back of production numbers. July production grew about 13% and the sales were higher by about 9%. You saw NTPC that has now registered substantial gains for a third straight session. It has gained over 10% since Friday, in fact on the back of earnings that were posted not too long back. Hero MotoCorp declined in trade after the Enforcement Directorate raided the promoter Pawan Munjal's residences as well as other premises. You had Powergrid Corporation, which in fact has fallen the most in 10 months after both the PAT number, that is the profit, as well as the revenue missed analyst expectations. All told, consolidation is the name of the game, and that continues to be the case.
And the July four-wheeler sales were a mixed bag in July. While Maruti's domestic sales revved up, Tata Motors sales were flat in July. M&M's three-wheeler and UV sales surged. On the other hand, Hyundai's domestic sales were flat, but exports surged. TVF Capital's Shiv Puri continues to be bullish on banks. Puri believes that despite contrary opinion, large banks will continue to grow as digitization has helped them to expand across the country.
Financials, whether it's banks or NBFCs, vast majority of them, the balance sheets are in pristine condition, and they have been for a little while. There is, the demand side of the story is structural, whether it's mortgages, whether it's personal loans, etc. And I still feel that there is a very long runway to go. In the past, and I would say 8-10 years ago, you would see small banks be able to grow faster. They're working on smaller bases, and therefore they were able to grow faster and be very profitable. But I think now increasingly more scale is starting to matter, because scale is going to matter. I mean, you've seen the largest bank in India, expand their branch network by 25% in the last 1 year. And that is really to build out their low-cost deposits. And, with that kind of brand name and that kind of push, it's going to marginalize some of the smaller players. So I think the whole notion that the big can't grow or can't scale will not happen, and you will see some of these strong scaled up banks who have the ability to attract low-cost deposits, to spend on technology. They obviously have great risk management practices, do better in the coming years.
And does India's earnings growth prospects look better than peers? Will Indian markets witness a correction soon? BQ Prime spoke to HSBC Securities' Amit Sachdeva about the outlook for Indian markets. Let's listen in.
From India's point of view, given the India's growth outlook is quite standout, earning outlook is very good, and India's structural appeal is on the rise. Many funds are just waking up to invest in India. So it's a new form of, attractiveness that India has sort of seen. So my sense is that in this environment, any correction could be very shallow, and probably many investors will use opportunities such as these to buy into India rather than worry that more sell-off is coming. I think the bullish construct has certain legs to it. Unless you see major downgrades or earnings, etc., or inflation or some other macro things going wrong, which doesn't seem likely, you could see intermittent some consolidation. Every bull run, for example, has intermittent phases of consolidation. Bull run is not every month market going up. It goes up 3 months, then it corrects 1 month, goes up 3 months. But if you analyze the last past bull run, you'll realize that those phases have generally 3 months rise to 1 month fall, to 3 months rise to 1 month fall. Those phases aggregate to become a bull run. So we should not worry about smaller consolidation. I think if general construct remains like this, I think it's a Goldilocks scenario for India playing out, and we are in the middle of it.
And as China and other countries continue to dump steel in India, the Indian steel industry has sought the government's intervention. Steel imports rose 7.6% in June 2023 as compared to last year. BQ Prime spoke to ISSDA President Rajamani Krishnamurthy about cheap steel flooding Indian markets.
Unlike India, China has got a large amount of subsidies that is extended to the manufacturers. And China, whether there is a demand in China or whether there is no demand, irrespective of that, China's practice is a predatory pricing and killing a particular economy. And this has been the past history of China, and this is very much there in the DNA of China. So we cannot change that. So any demand increase in China is not going to give a much better breathing for our domestic players. So if I have to give you a particular example for the subsidies, the way they give it to the manufacturers there. For example, all the basic raw materials like scrap, they are imported from outside market, and China has got abundance of these raw materials. Now, for example, if we take scrap, if we have to import it from China, there is a 40% export duty. For example, in other words, what the Chinese manufacturers get at 100 rupees, if I have to procure it from China, I have to pay 140. So I am already 40% up on my competition.
WellSpan India's share price jumped over 5% intraday following robust Q1 results for the first quarter ended June. The company recorded a multiple-fold rise in its net profit. BQ Prime spoke to the CEO of WellSpan India, Dipali Goenka, about the company's performance.
The important aspect, as we had earlier spoken about, were the 3 C's, the cotton, container and the coal. And I think all of them have come down quite considerably. And of course, our capacities are running full throttle. Right now, the Q1, they were running around 80%, whether it was towels and rugs. Sheets was at around 50-60%, which also will be starting to go around 90-95% by the second quarter as well. So I think it is also about leveraging our fixed costs as well, Alex. So definitely that is one aspect to it. The commodities coming down has been a very considerable important aspect to it as well. So yes, it is also the economies of scale that have kicked in too. And demand remains good as well for the half one too.
Bank of India posted a 176% rise in net profit year on year. The bank's asset quality also improved in the quarter. MD and CEO Rajneesh Karnatak elaborates on why Bank of India is concentrating on improving operating profit and efficiency parameters.
So on the commercial sense, I have already given you an idea what we are planning to do. So top line is important for us. However, the bottom line is even more important. So we are more concentrating on the operating profit and the efficiency parameters, and finally the net profit. Having said that, our guidance for credit growth of 11 to 12% for March 24 continues, with the simple thing that if you see our domestic book, it has grown by more than 10%. If you see the retail book, it has grown by more than 10%. If you see our Otherwise, in the corporate book itself, if you see that there is a reduction in our state government advances to the tune of 15% year on year. So that is again a conscious decision we have taken to prune down our state government advances. So as far as the pipeline is concerned, we have a very healthy pipeline of around 40,000 crores corporate book pipeline. And as far as the sanctions are concerned, so in this calendar year, we have already given a sanction to the tune of nearly 30,000 crores. With all this thing in background, I am very comfortable and very sure that our estimated number of 11 to 12% of credit growth will be achieved.
And that's all we have for you in Let's Talk Business. Thank you for watching. It's time for a quick break.